Hey there folks, John here with Through My Lens, and today I'm coming to you with another firearms related video. Now this video is going to be geared towards someone who is perhaps new to firearms or someone who has made the decision to conceal carry a firearm and is wondering what is the best weapon to choose for that purpose and how do they make that kind of a decision, what kind of selection process should they use. Now, before I get into the main topic, let me go ahead and establish my credentials in this particular area, because I think it's important that before you take advice from someone on what to select to save your life potentially, that you kind of understand if they have the kind of experience and expertise to be making that kind of a recommendation. And in my case, I've been a lifelong firearms owner, a concealed carry permit holder for the last 15 years. I am a certified instructor, and I also compete at a pretty high level in the competitive shooting arena in both USPSA and Steel Challenge. USPSA, I've shot several state and area matches. In Steel Challenge, I've shot in the World Speed Shooting Championship. And in this past year, I was fortunate enough to place 10th in the world in Masterclass pistol caliber carbine optics. So I do have some considerable experience. I've done a lot of training, and I feel very well qualified to speak on this subject. Now, I'm going to recommend that anybody who is looking for a concealed carry permit holder make a choice between these three different systems. And they are a system, and I'll kind of explain that later. First, we have the SIG P320. Next, we have the Glock 19. And finally, we have the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0. Now, I'm going to recommend, again, you restrict your selection to one of these three weapons. Reliability for a weapon that you're going to carry as a potentially life-saving tool is the most important factor. And each of these three firearms has been proven, has been tested by civilians, military, as well as law enforcement, and is very well established within the community as being reliable. I've had the good fortune to be able to shoot at several different training facilities for firearms. Here in Ohio, I've trained a lot with, for example, Tactical Defense Institute, TDI. I've also trained at the Sig Sauer Academy, a few other places, a few other instructors as well. And I always try to pick their brain in terms of which firearms do they recommend for concealed carry. And it's always among these three choices. With the P320 kind of being new to the list, it really for the longest time used to be between the Glock and the M&P. And the reason why these three companies make such a reliable weapon really comes down to their manufacturing capabilities. Each of these three companies is large enough to be able to afford to use the very best machines and tools to be able to manufacture their components, and they also employ individuals who have the skills, the knowledge, skills, and abilities to be able to assemble and finish and quality control these weapons so that when they get in the hands of consumers, it's just an extraordinarily rare circumstance for one to have a problem or one to have a failure. And because they're all three American-based facilities in terms of their manufacturing, you're going to be able to get very good support if you do have a problem with your firearm. So that's another big reason. And because of that, these tend to be the top sellers in terms of sales volume in the segment. So that means you're going to have, by choosing one of these three weapons, the best choices for supporting equipment or accessories such as holsters, magazines, and third-party components like triggers, for example. So again, I really, particularly if this is your first concealed carry type of weapon, I'm going to recommend you restrict your choice to one of these three. Now, all three of these guns really, I guess I should say these two guns are really variations on this one right here. This is the Glock 19. This is the MOS version that can accommodate an optic. But the Glock 19 really was the originator of this segment of a firearm that is small enough to carry, but it's large enough to have a capacity for ammunition to be able to handle most situations that a concealed carry permit holder might come into. All three of these have magazines that are 15-round capacity, but they're also large enough that when you get home, you take it out of the holster, you can put it on your bedside table, maybe switch out the 15-round magazine to a larger magazine, and it'll be perfectly suitable for a home defense weapon. So they're very flexible in that regard. But each of these comprise an entire system, which, again, very important consideration when you're choosing a weapon, that the system works in conjunction to make you a better shooter. So what does that mean? Well, the M&P, for example, you can purchase, and really this is going to depend on how much you want to practice and just how much you enjoy shooting. The more you shoot, the more expensive it's going to be, because ammo isn't very cheap, particularly in this post-pandemic world where inflation is a killer and ammunition is both scarce and higher in price than I've ever seen it. With the Smith & Wesson, you've got an option to be able to shoot a variant of this particular firearm that's chambered in .22 long rifle that ergonomically is extremely similar. So when you're shooting that weapon, the muscle memory is going to be similar. It'll fit in the same holster as this one, so you can practice your drawing, your target acquisition, as well as good trigger control when you're shooting it. And you can have the opportunity to shoot that .22 long rifle cartridge, which is much less expensive than a 9mm. On the other side of the equation, if you really decide to that you enjoy shooting and you want to do it competitively, which is a great thing because competitive shooting really will force you to be just an absolute top level shooter if you get into a defensive scenario. Smith & Wesson makes a competition version of the M&P. This is the M&P 2.0 Core Pro Series. This is a larger, very long slide, suitable for competition. It's got a special competition trigger. Again, this and all of these weapons I've reviewed individually on my channel. But again, when you're shooting this in competition, ergonomically, grip angle, all the things that make the M&P 2.0 what it is are pretty much the same on these two weapons. So when you're shooting this in competition, you're getting great benefits and dividends for your concealed carry type weapon, which is again the M&P 2.0 Compact. Similar situation with the Glock. They a few years ago they came out with the Glock 44, which is basically a Glock 19 sized .22 long rifle firearm that again ergonomically very, very similar to the Glock. SIG does not have a .22 long rifle chambered variant of the P320. SIG has decided to go the route of air guns, and they have air gun variants of most of their pistols and rifles. I'm not crazy about the air guns. I prefer to practice with .22 long rifle, but again, that's a personal preference thing. The nice thing about the air guns is you can shoot them indoors, so you can set up some targets in your basement. And again, it's certainly beneficial. I just prefer to when I'm practicing on the cheap, to do it with .22 long rifle. And again, the Glock has variants suitable for competition. Some guys use the Glock 17 or the more often the Glock 34 for competition, and Again, very similar ergonomically to the Glock 19. With the SIG, I've been shooting the M&P, the P320 X5 Legion in competition. Great firearm, but again, very, very similar to the P320. Compact, grip angle is the same, a lot of the ergonomics are the same, trigger feel is very, very similar. So again, lots and lots of benefits as a concealed carry permit holder to participate in competition with the Legion X5. Now, in terms of which of these three firearms is best for you, that's only a question that you can answer. It really comes down to personal preference. You can't go wrong with any one of these three. I have my personal preferences, and I can tell you what they are and why they are what they are. I'm probably most comfortable with the M&P 2.0 compact as a concealed weapon. I don't carry this one that often. I tend to carry this one more often. I'll explain why in a moment. But when I started off concealed carrying, it was the previous generation, the M&P 1.0, as I guess it were. And at the time, they had a 22 caliber or 22 long rifle caliber variant. They did not have a good competition option, which is why I switched over to the SIG platform. But when you pick up a gun and you're trying to determine if it's good fit, from a low ready, bring it up to eye level for target acquisition, and see if the target or if the sights are on target. If when you come up with that gun, the targets are there, it's kind of your natural point of aim. If the gun's right there on target, that is a good indicator that it's one that you should select. If you bring it up and you're having to find where the dot is, or find where the iron sights are to get them aligned, that means that ergonomically speaking, that weapon probably doesn't fit as well with you as maybe another choice would. The SIG P320 ergonomically is fairly similar in terms of the grip angle. It's a little bit chunkier, which is why I like the M&P 2.0. I have smaller hands. This is just a bit chunkier. I still don't have a problem hanging on to it. This one's just slightly more comfortable, but this is still a great firearm for me, which is why I have been shooting it pretty consistently for the last 5 or 6 years. That and the fact that I really like the competition option in terms of the Legion X5. Again, no 22 long rifle version of this. Unfortunately, I wish SIG would make one. But I would recommend that you go to your local gun store. You may have to make a couple trips if your local gun store doesn't carry all three of these. But try them out, dry fire them in a store, kind of get an idea of what you think you like. Then go to a range that rents firearms, rent 2 or more of these, compare them side to side. Again, try to figure out which one, from an ergonomics, from just a feel and comfort, really fits you best, because that will dramatically flatten the learning curve in terms of you being able to shoot if you select a firearm that kind of naturally fits with you better. And then from there, go get some good instruction, find a good instructor, go think about maybe even going to a facility like one of those that I mentioned before that specializes in firearms training, and practice. Get good training, learn how to practice and how to practice well, and then get out there and shoot. Shoot as much as you prefer, shoot as much as you can afford to, and continue to gain that proficiency through both dry fire and live fire, and you'll find that you will become very, very proficient with your concealed carry permit firearm. Well, there you have it. There's my video on selecting a good concealed carry firearm. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Take care. God bless. We'll see you in the next one.
I hope you've enjoyed this production from the Through My Lens YouTube channel. If you did, please click on the like button and do share the video on social media. If you'd like to see more content like it, please do subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and do check out Through My Lens at www.throughmylens.org.